what we have discussed so far is mainly on model-driven methods, wherein we discussed on the various aspects of trend, seasonality. Then in terms of cycles, we went through ARIMA, then Karsh. Then we understood what is co-integration, Granger causality test, everything else. Now today what we'll be doing is, this is the last aspect which is remaining, which is nothing but everything that we have discussed so far are model based. Okay, so the assumption is the whatever the past values are there, whatever the patterns which are there in the past values will be able to reoccur in the future also, and based upon that we were able to go for model based methods. Now here what we'll be doing is we will be considering what are referred to as data driven methods. And within these data-driven methods, the first method that we have is referred to as a naive method. Naive method is also referred to as a benchmark method, wherein if I consider a benchmark, if I want to forecast tomorrow, if I have to forecast the value with the x plus 1 means tomorrow, the best prediction for tomorrow will be nothing but what is the price today. So this is referred to as the primitive forecasting model, or this is the benchmark forecasting model. So if any of the forecasting method that you are choosing, if it is able to do much better than the naive method, those are considered as the best forecasting method. So naive method is nothing but tomorrow's value or tomorrow's forecast is based upon today's forecast itself. So that is referred to as mainly in terms of naive method. When it comes to the next one, so the next model or the next method which is there is referred to as a simple average method. Now you will be able to notice, if I just take in terms of a screenshot, if I consider the simple average method, what it says is the best forecast for tomorrow will be nothing but it is an average of certain number of days prices. So which means if I go for the Excel sheet, if I say this is for example, this is 1st January 2020. If I have got, this is the data, and if I have, these are the various prices which are there, the random between, we'll have it as 50 to 100. If I have got it, now what it says is the best prediction for tomorrow, which is nothing but YT plus 1. This is nothing but based upon how many days average you want to take. So if I consider that I want to take the average of 5 days, okay, this is the 5-day prices. So that means the best prediction for tomorrow will be nothing but it is an average of these 5 values. So so if I copy paste and have this as values only, now you will be able to notice this 76.4 that you have got. This is going to be the best prediction for tomorrow on 15th January. Considering that you have taken the average of the last 5 days. So 76.4 is going to be the best prediction for tomorrow. So if it is stock prices or if it is sales prices or in terms of the attrition rates, you will be able to say that on 15th January, if I take the average, but what you have to do consider is how many number of days would you consider, whether it is 5 days, or whether it is 10 days, it is left to the choice of the user. And thus, you will be able to notice that the best prediction for tomorrow is nothing but whatever the prices that you have for the last 5 days or in terms of the 10 days. So this is referred to as a simple average method. Now, once you go for a simple average method, now you will be able to notice you have another method which is called as weighted moving average method. So we know what is in terms of moving average method. So if I go for the Excel sheet once again, you will be able to notice if I want to calculate 5-day moving average, what we'll do, we'll take the 5 days which is there, and then if I go for equals to, let me take it here only, equals to average. And if I take the first 5 values and then enter, and then if I move across, you will be able to notice that the 5 days previously we had taken these 5 values. Next, when I go for the average, the past value will be removed. This 95 will be removed and 79 will be added to the data. So this is nothing but it is called as a moving average method. So if I do consider, this is nothing but in terms of the moving average. Now what they are saying is it is nothing but the weighted moving average, which means when you go for the moving average, you should be able to allocate the weights. So will the recent observation will have more weights, or the last few observations which were there will have more weights? That is one that you should be able to decide. So when we talk about in terms of the weighted moving average, it is also referred to as a sliding window values, is for the reason that you will be able to notice there is some, as we go from one point to another point, there is nothing but a sliding effect which is there. So if this is the case, what they are now suggesting is if I go for the moving average method, all I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to assign any values to the recent value. So if I go for the weights, if I consider the weights, and if I want to calculate in terms of the average, instead of that, what I'll do here is, whichever is the recent observation, I will be able to allocate more weight. For example, 0.4. Then I'll be able to allocate 0.3, then 0.2. So you have got then 0.1. So you will be able to notice that if I am able to take 4 days, this is nothing but I'll go for the weighted average of, I'll take the weights, and if I am able to multiply these weights with the observation which is there. So if I am able to do the same thing, now you will be able to notice that the best forecast for tomorrow, which is nothing but 15th of January, is nothing but if I take an average of these values, this will be nothing but in terms of the weighted moving average, wherein you will be able to notice these are the values that you will be able to get. So if this is the case, this is referred to as what is referred to as weighted moving average, where you are assigning weights and the recent observations will be given more weights when compared to the past observations. So this is referred to as the weighted moving average. And then if we do in R, I will be showing the same results in R as well as Python. If I am able to take just these data points, so 3, 10, 12, 13, 12, 10, 12. So if I am able to take this array of numbers, and if I am able to subject that to these analysis, okay. So if I am able to take a simple moving average or in terms of the weighted moving average, you will be able to notice, depending upon how many days will I go for taking the average, the forecast will be will vary a lot. So if I take just in terms of the average for all the days, you will be able to notice there is a problem of what is called as underfitting. Whereas if you are able to go for the minimum number of days like 3 days or in terms of 4 days, or if you are going for the weighted average method considering the entire data, you will be able to notice the weighted average is similar to that of your measures of central tendency, wherein you talked about mean, median as well as mode. You always, when the data is skewed in nature, you will always take median as the best measure. Similarly, if you look at it, you do have some extremes when you take the last 4 values and take the average of it, or 3 values, but you will be able to notice the weighted average is somewhere in between. So weighted average will be able to do a good job when you take into consideration these data points. So the best forecast will be using in terms of the weighted moving average. So if this is the case, when we discussed on the model as well as data-based approaches, you will be able to notice that the model-based approach is there this model-based approach, for example, all the methods that we have talked about so far, ARIMA, GARCH, everything else, wherein all these models assume is whatever the patterns which you have seen in the past is similar to that in the future. But what we are discussing is we are discussing on the data-based approach, wherein we are considering that past is not similar to future. So what we are doing is we are just taking the data points, and then depending upon what the data is, depending upon the various methods like average and various other methods that we'll be discussing on, we are assuming that the past will never be similar to future, and thus these are referred to in terms of what are called as the data-based approach. So if we take data-based approach, you will be able to notice there are three methods which are often discussed when it comes to exponential smoothing methods. Now, depending upon what you think is a component of your time series, we know that among the various time series components which are there, we have got mainly in terms of, you have got the trend, you have got seasonality, you have got in terms of cycles, everything else. Now, depending upon whether you feel the time series has got whether trend is there or seasonality is there or not, you will be able to choose different methods. So first one is referred to as an exponential smoothing method. This simple exponential smoothing method which is there assumes that the time series that we are talking about doesn't have a trend, doesn't have in terms of seasonality. So when we discussed on a stationary data, you will be able to notice most of the observations were around zero only. Okay, so it was hovering around zero or hovering around a certain level. So if this is the case, if we assume that the time series which is there is having a level, but it is not having a trend or in terms of seasonality, this is referred to as a simple exponential smoothing method. Now, if you feel that your time series that you have considered does have a trend component. So if we are, if I do consider, if I take in terms of a snapshot of it, if I just take this snapshot. So here you will be able to notice that if I take in terms of a simple exponential smoothing method, or in terms of a model here, you are assuming that the data which is there is around hovering around a certain level. Okay, what that number is, it can be 1, it can be anything. So we assume that there is level, but there is no trend or in terms of the seasonality component. When this is the case, if I am going for a data-driven method, I will be considering simple exponential smoothing method. When it comes to Halt's method, you are assuming here that if I take a time series, you certainly have in terms of a level, but at the same time, you are assuming that there is a trend component, but there exists no seasonality which is there. So seasonality is not there, but definitely trend as well as the trend component exists. So if you feel that the trend component exists, then you will be going for something called as a double exponential smoothing method, or it is also referred to as a Holt's method. And the third method is referred to as, it is also referred to as Holt-Winter method. Okay, so Holt's-Winter method is the one. If you assume that your data which is there has the trend also, at the same time it has got in terms of seasonality component also, but depending upon whether it is going to be an additive model or in terms of a multiplicative model, you will be able to make some changes here. So you assume that trend is also there, seasonality is also there, and thus the Holt-Winters method which is there is the best data-driven model that you can consider for your analysis. So this is one of the models that you should be always able to consider. So depending upon if you are going for data-driven method, if you are going for exponential smoothing method, depending upon what you see from your charts, okay, whether the time series has a trend or not, you will be able to go for simple exponential or Holt's method, or in terms of Holt-Winter method also. Now you will be able to notice the similarity that exists between all these methods is they assign more weight to most recent observations. So like we did with respect to exponential, or in terms of the weighted average method or weighted moving average method, here also these methods which are there try to assign more weight to the most recent observations, and they assume that the past value or the farthest observations will have lesser influence on the forecasting, and thus they will be able to assign lesser weight to farthest observations. So if this is the case, you will be able to notice, if I come to this simple exponential smoothing method, it is based upon an assumption that level is there. Okay, level is there, but you will be able to notice trend is not there, seasonality is not there. So it assumes that only level component is there, and thus the best forecast for tomorrow is based upon YT, which is nothing but the recent value, with y hat value, and these are referred to as in terms of the smoothing constant. So these coefficients that you are able to see, alpha as well as 1 minus alpha, these are referred to as smoothing constant, which you need to decide what that has to be. So if you say alpha is nothing but 1, or in terms of 0.9, okay, if you consider 0.9, which means you are placing more importance for the recent observations, and as I'm going for 1 minus alpha, if I consider this as 0.9, you will be able to notice 1 minus 0.9, this is just 0.1, which means the influence of the past observation, just recent observation which is there, will have a highest influence on the future values. That is what the simple exponential smoothing method will believe. And then you will be able to notice, since I am considering in terms of a level, the level is nothing but, if you notice in terms of the similarity which is there, the similarity is nothing but, if I want to forecast in terms of the level, depending upon what weightages that I'm taking for this smoothing constant, which is nothing but alpha, I will be able to say the level, how this level will be in the future is dependent upon, you will be able to notice the lesser weightage is given for in terms of the level, and higher weightage is given for the previous prices which is there. So using this, if you are able to forecast, this is referred to as a simple exponential smoothing method. And if you am taking in terms of the alpha, if this equation which is there, if you say I'm not only considering just previous value, okay, last day's value, I'm also considering the last 3 days values, for example. And if you assume that alpha will be nothing but 0.9, then you will be able to notice, as I go for 1 minus alpha, 1 minus alpha whole square, if I do it, you will be able to notice the recent observation will have more influence on the current values. Whereas as I go on taking the previous value, these previous values will have lesser impact on YT plus 1. So this is one aspect that you should be able to consider. So alpha value, or the smoothing constant, is decided by you. Okay, so you will decide what will be the influence of the previous observations. So if we are able to take in terms of the average values, along with that, if I'm able to take the exponential smoothing method, wherein if I consider alpha is equal to 0.1, which means I'm placing least weightage on the recent observation, so you will be able to notice your model will not be able to do a good job. But when you are able to take in terms of alpha is equal to 0.9, that means whatever has happened in the past 2 days, or in terms of last 2-3 days, if you are able to give more weightage to the recent observations, you will be able to notice that your forecast will be similar to that obtained using average and weighted average. And now you will be able to understand that instead of me going for these complex models, which is exponential smoothing methods, I can certainly go for average, or in terms of the weighted average method, which also will be able to do a very good job. So computationally, they are very, very simple, but in terms of the forecast, they will be able to give you a better forecast when compared to the complicated models also. That is one thing that you should be able to remember. And then you have got the next one is referred to as Holt's method, or it is also called as double exponential method, wherein what we are saying is the data has got level as well as in terms of the trend. So if I'm able to take the level component, I will be able to assign some weightages. So here also you have got some constant for the levels. And similarly, since I'm taking trend also, if I'm able to assign in terms of the weightage to the trend component also, you will be able to notice this Holt's exponential method has got two things. One is level as well as in terms of the trend component. Depending upon what is the weightage that you will be able to consider for these, you will be able to get in terms of the forecasted value. So many of the times what happens is, specifically in R as well as Python, when we go for these methods, the algorithm by default, it will be able to consider the values of alpha as well as beta values, and then it will be able to forecast. Now, if we want to go for various iterations, what we can do is we can go on assigning, but what happens is the combinations, permutation combination will be too many. So for that reason, what we always do is, there are easiest way is they let the R as well as Python or the algorithms decide upon what is the alpha as well as the beta values to best predict what will be the prices in the future. So this is referred to as in terms of the double exponential method. And the last method which is there is referred to as the Holt-Winters method, wherein Holt-Winters method, what it does is it considers that the time series that you have got has got level, it has got trend as well as got seasonality component. And here we are assuming here that it is more or less in terms of a multiplicative model. So as I had shown in the diagram here, that if I'm assuming that it is going to, the magnitude of the seasonality will increase year on year basis, you will be able to notice this is nothing but multiplicative in nature. So if you are making an assumption that your trend which is there is multiplicative in nature, then what you will do is you will take the level, you will take in terms of the trend, and you will be able to take in terms of the seasonality component also. Now you have got various equations here. What you should be able to understand here is, when I make an assumption of the future, everything depending upon what I take levels, in the level, if I consider first the level, what is the alpha or the smoothing constant that I'm considering here. So if the alpha value is very, very high in the beginning, that means you are placing more importance to the recent observations, recent level observations. Similarly, when it comes to the Holt's method, which is there, now you will be able to notice that even in terms of the Holt's method also, this is able to consider the beta values. Recent observations are given more weightage, and similarly in terms of the seasonality also. Within seasonality, we will be assuming that it is going to be a multiplicative model. So this is referred to as in terms of the Holtz-Winters method. Okay, sorry about that. Now, if you have an understanding of this, now remember that these are the various data-driven models which are there. Now, when it comes to going about looking at the various cases on forecasting using R programming, if we go for R, I'll just show you in terms of how these results will be able to come closer to the recent data also. So first and foremost thing is, what you should be able to do is, you should be able to install the packages, which is nothing but, you have got forecast, you have got FPP, smoothing methods as well as time series. So if you want to consider, if you want to consider R, wherein the data is nothing but it is a time series data, we should be able to go for this T series also. Now what I have done is, I have gone and installed this package. Okay, so you will be able to notice there are a lot of It will be able to unzip in terms of various other supporting documents also which are there. So these are the various things. So assuming that you have installed these packages, you have got these libraries, forecast, everything else. Now, when we go for, we will be able to use this aviation data. Okay, I'll be able to send you this aviation data. So if we go for read.csv and we are going for file.choose, so we are choosing this aviation data. And once we go for it, you will be able to notice this is nothing but it is a quarterly data. Okay, so quarterly data from 1986 onwards, you have got up till 1996. This is the data that you have got. And instead of considering that everything is going to be model driven, we are going for a data driven models. So if this is the case, what I need to do is I should be able to consider first the sales. If you look at in terms of the view, you have got, this is nothing but the variable. This is the univariate time series that we are considering. Sales is the one that we want to forecast. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to say that this data which is there is nothing but it is a time series data. And I'm considering the sales column which is there, and I'm saying this is quarterly. Okay, so here I'm mentioning that it is nothing but quarterly, and it is starting from the year 1986. So if we do that and then we look at in terms of the view, you will now be able to notice that you have got the sales observation, and it is automatically assuming that this is nothing but in terms of the quarterly data. Okay. So once we have considered it, if we go for the plot, you will be able to notice this is how the data looks like, which means there is certainly a component of in terms of the trend. Okay, so trend is also there. Along with that, definitely there exists some seasonality, but this seasonality which is there more or less looks not doesn't look more multiplicative, but definitely some increase in the magnitude we are able to see in the seasonality. So if this is the case, what we do is the first 38 observations which are there, we'll consider it as the training data, and the rest observations which are there, we'll consider it as a test data. So train as well as in terms of test. And then here when we go for it, you will be able to notice considering only 4 quarters of the data for testing. So we are just considering the last 4 observations. So if this is the case, if I convert these train and test into the quarterly data, and then if I go for the plot of the training data, this is the training data that we have taken. Okay, so once we have it, first what we'll do is you will be able to notice that when we went for the Holt-Winters method, this is nothing but the Holt-Winters method, wherein it has got level, trend as well as in terms of seasonality, which means if I take this formula itself, and then if I say trend is not there, seasonality is not there, so trend equals to false, seasonal is nothing but false, then automatically this will be nothing but in terms of a simple exponential smoothing model. So this automatically becomes this model. So if I say in this level is also there, trend is also there, then this will become Winters model. And if I say level is there, trend is there, and seasonality is there, then this becomes Holt-Winters method. So you will be able to notice that when we go for our programming, what it does is, it depending upon what you say is present, whether you say alpha here refers to in terms of level, beta here refers to in terms of the trend, gamma value refers to in terms of the presence of seasonality. Now, if I take the Holt-Winters method for a training data set, and if I say alpha is nothing but 0.2, that means I am saying that level component is there, but trend component is false. That means trend component is not there, seasonality is not there, so I'm not assuming what is the level of gamma. So if I consider here, you will be able to notice alpha here refers to level, beta here refers to in terms of the trend component, which is nothing but Holt's method, and then the gamma value which is there, if I assume that this is there, then we will consider this as presence of in terms of the seasonality component. So if we do go for it, here you will be able to notice, I'll go for the Holt-Winters method now. if I go for Control R, and then if I am able to, since I have built the model now, okay, so I have built a model which is nothing but a simple exponential smoothing method. And this fitted model, what I will be doing is I will be using it for prediction purposes. So data frame, if I am going for prediction, N ahead refers to I want to forecast it for the next 4 quarters. Okay, that is what it means. So if I go for prediction, and if I look at the plot, so here, yeah, could not find the function. Okay, let me run through this once again. And smooth, and then T series. Okay. So now if we go for this prediction, and then if we go for the plot, now you will be able to notice, according to your exponential smoothing method, which is much more, which is considering that there is a level component, right? So you will be able to notice your forecast for the next quarter will be just in terms of a level. But is this doing a good job? We'll definitely be able to see that the exponential smoothing method is not doing a good job, is for the reason that it is just capturing in terms of the level. Now, if this is the case, if I look at the mean absolute percentage error, which is there, okay, so this value HWA, if I consider this, you will be able to notice this comes to 16.12. So what I should be able to do is, I should be able to consider the various other components also, other various models also, and compare which model has got the MAPA values, which are the least. So depending upon where they are least, I will be able to consider that as my best model. So next one, what I'll do is, with alpha is equal to 0.2 and beta is nothing but equals to 0.1. So here I'm making an assumption that there is a level component, there is in terms of a trend component also which is associated. And if that is the case, now I'm going for Holt-Winters method, where I'm taking the training data set. Alpha value, I'm assuming that it is 0.2, which is level is present. Beta value is 0.1, which means trend is present, but I'm assuming that seasonality is not present. So if I go for this model and go for prediction, I'm going for prediction, taking the fitted model which is there, which is HWAB, and then I'm going for N ahead equals to 4, which means for the next 4 quarters. Now if I go for the plot, now you will be able to notice, since I'm considering that there is a trend component, previously it was like this, it was straight level, okay, now it is assuming that there is something called as a trend component. So if I'm able to interpolate it, this is just in terms of a straight line or a regression line that I will be able to get. But you will be able to notice this is nothing but considering that there is a level component also, there is in terms of a trend component also. This is the forecast that you will be able to find out, and these are the confidence intervals which are associated with respect to this forecast. So now if I go for the MAPA value, let it be stored somewhere, okay, so we will be able to recall it later. Now what we'll do is, we will go for the Holt-Winters method, where I'm considering that level is there, there is trend component, and then there is seasonality component also. Now if I go for this method and go for prediction, and now if I look at the plot, now you will be able to notice that since I am also considering that there exists a seasonality component, now you will be able to notice, similar to what we have looked at from a point of view of seasonality index, right? So similarly, considering the Holt-Winters method, it is able to assume that not only there is a trend component, but there is also a seasonality within it. And thus you will be now able to observe that these are the predictions for the next 4 quarters, which is much more relevant for our case which we are building. Okay, so this is This is in terms of the Holt-Winters method, which is there. Now, if we have gone for, let me save this MAPA value. Now, if this is the case, what I want to do is it possible that the R itself can decide upon the optimal values? So if this is the case, if I'm taking that first is exponential smoothing method, I'm assuming that beta is not there, trend is not there. I'm assuming that seasonality is not there. Let R decide for itself what will be the optimal values for in terms of the level. So if I'm going for Holt-Winters method, if I'm going for the prediction, now you will be able to notice if I'm assuming that it is a level, if I want the algorithm to decide by itself what is the best level alpha with that you should be able to consider, you will.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, these methods, what we are doing now, should we build this on the model-based method, or we can choose
No,
any
no,
one
no.
of the method,
No,
model-based
no.
or data?
See, what happens is when we go for the model-driven methods, there is lot of assumptions which are there. Like when we went for trend, we went for regression method. When we go for regression method, there were a lot of assumptions. Depending upon those assumptions, we were able to inculcate ARIMA, ARCH, GARCH, all those models. This is one set of model which is there. These are a different data driven models which are there, which is completely different, and it doesn't make any assumptions regarding a model. Okay, there is no equations. It just says we are giving some weightages to the previous observations. Depending upon what the pattern or how much weightage you are giving to the previous data, you will be able to get some forecasted value. So these are data driven models. So what majority of us do is we will be able to build a model separately using model driven models, and then we'll go for the these data driven models also separately for the same data set, and then we will be able to make a comparison between both these different types of models, and then which one is doing a good job for that specific time series, we will be able to select based upon it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So let's continue. So if this is the case with respect to Winters method, which is there, here we are just going for in terms of R to decide for itself what will be the optimal value. Similarly, if I consider here as the beta is present, but gamma is false. So if this is the case, if I go for the prediction and if I look at the plot, now you will be able to notice R itself will be able to come up with, and this is much steeper. You will be able to notice that why this is steeper is like we did in terms of the quadratic trend. It is not linear in nature, but it is more or less like a quadratic trend. So you will be able to notice that when we go for asking R to decide for itself alpha as well as the beta values, the forecast which is there based upon the presence of the level as well as the trend, you will be able to notice these are the observations or these are the forecasts that you have got for the next 4 quarters. And similarly, if we go for the final model which is there for the Holt-Winters method, wherein if I make the forecast depending upon the seasonality component, this is the forecast that we will be able to get. So R will be able to decide what has to be the optimal value of alpha, beta, as well as in terms of the gamma values, and it will be able to give you these forecasts for the next 4 quarters. And then if that is the case, if I am able to have a data frame consisting of all the mean absolute percentage error for all the models that we have built so far, and if I name these columns and if I'm able to view it, let me DMAP one of the, okay, so I should be able to run all. HWMA. So now if I'm able to consider the columns and then the view, now you will be able to notice these are the values that I am able to get across the various models that we have built. Now, depending upon which has got the mean absolute percentage error, the least, that is the one that we will be able to consider. And thus, if we go for in terms of the data driven models which are there, the model that has got the level, the model which has got trend, and the model which has got the seasonality, this is able to do a very good job, and this value is having 3.54. This model, I should be able to choose it for the entire data set once again, and then I should be able to look at in terms of the results. So if this is the case, if I go for the new model and go for the plotting, you will be able to notice that the best forecast is nothing but the Holt-Winters method, which takes into consideration all the components of level. It is able to take the component of trend, and it is able to take the component of in terms of seasonality also. So this is how you should be able to go for forecasting when it comes to data driven model. So this is it. And then last one which is there is, if I want to go for the new forecast, and if I want to look at the forecasted value with the predictions, okay, confidence intervals which is there for the next 3 or next 4 quarters, these are the best forecasts that I can come up with these confidence intervals. So this is what I wanted to discuss, and this completes your portion on in terms of the time series forecasting.